Welcome into Tailgate Thursday for the first round of the college football playoffs and bowl week for the week of December the 18th through Christmas Eve. My name is David Morrison from the Vol Society, here to bring you these upcoming college football games this weekend. As I just mentioned, it is playoff time. It's also bowl season, and we're going to try our best to preview all these games coming up this week, at least, as we're going to run through Christmas Eve with the bowl games, and of course we'll preview the first round of the college football playoffs. So we begin Friday night, 8 o'clock on ABC from Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. 9th seed Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the 8th seed Oklahoma Sooners. These two teams Tennessee knows very well. Unfortunately, two of these were losses on the season, but should be an entertaining game. Oklahoma has won the last two meetings against the Crimson Tide. Will they make it three, or will Caleb DeBoer and the Tide finally get a win over Oklahoma? This should be a good matchup. Obviously, the quarterbacks, it's going to be a very interesting scenario with Ty Simpson and John Mateer. Who's going to have the bigger game? Who can run the football? That's going to be a big key factor in this game. But we'll find out Friday night as the Tide and the Sooners meet. The 10th seed Miami Hurricanes heads to College Station to take on the 7th seed Texas A&M Aggies. This is going to be noon on ABC. For Miami, they controversially got into the playoffs for not playing in the ACC championship game. Carson Beck and Miami, I guess you could say a solid season, 10-win season, but, just that weird scenario in the ACC where they didn't make it to the championship game. End up leaving out, I should say, Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, Texas. So definitely one of the more controversial picks, and I would even say the Alabama one to a certain extent. But we'll see how they do. For Texas A&M, last time we saw the Aggies had a very flat performance on the road at Texas, came away with a loss. Can they rebound and make a college football playoff deep run? We shall find out as the Canes meet the Aggies. 3:30 on TNT. We continue on. 11th ranked Tulane, or 11th seed Tulane, taking on 6th seed Ole Miss. These two teams met in the regular season, won by Ole Miss, but they had a different coach. As everybody knows by now, Lane Kiffin is no longer the head coach at Ole Miss, as he's now at LSU. Ole Miss promoted defensive coordinator Pete Golden to become the permanent head coach. So this is his first game coaching the Ole Miss Rebels in a college football playoff scenario. Could win the national championship. We'll see. For John Summerall, he's the current Tulane coach for now. Of course, he's also the head coach for the Florida Gators. So I guess you could say a little bit of an SEC preview somewhat. So we'll see how both these teams do as the Green Wave and the Rebs meet Saturday. And then in prime time, wrapping up the FBS playoffs, 12th seed and Sun Belt champion James Madison Dukes heading to Eugene to take on the 5th seed Oregon Ducks. James Madison, 11-1 on the year, won the Sun Belt. Another team controversially got into the playoffs. Of course, the criteria is the top conference champions, and we already know the SEC champions, Big Ten champions, but the Sun Belt champion got in over the ACC champions, and of course the MAC champion wasn't even going to make it. But going to be interesting to see. This will also be Bob Chesney's last run with the head coach as the Dukes, as he takes the UCLA job whenever they are eliminated for the playoffs, or could win the whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, for Oregon and Dan Lanning, last year got embarrassed by Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, looking to make a more serious run, and having a first-round matchup should be intriguing to see. But we'll see what happens as the Dukes and the Ducks meet Saturday night. All right, let's do some FCS playoffs. They're in the semifinals right now, and we head up to meet me in Montana and Montana State. The Grizzlies and the Bobcats going to meet for a spot in the FCS National Championship, which is going to take place in Nashville this year at Commodore Stadium on the campus of Vanderbilt University. But for Montana, they have knocked off both the South Dakota schools, South Dakota University and South Dakota State, one of the favorites to win the whole thing. So Montana's having a great run. Now they take on their rivals in Montana State. Montana State won in the regular season, and for Montana State, they I think they knocked out Yale and Stephen F. Austin to get to this point, if I'm not mistaken. So two rivals right here. They're going to meet Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock on ABC in the FCS playoffs. And the other semifinal matchup, Illinois State, I guess you could say the surprise so far in the FCS playoffs. They knocked off the number 1 seed North Dakota State in the second round and kind of making a Cinderella run. Could they get to Nashville? Well, they're taking on Villanova. Villanova coming off a win last Saturday over Tarleton State. So interesting to see what happens in this one. Like I said, a couple of teams that's, I guess you could say, kind of came out of nowhere. Definitely Illinois State. Villanova, a 11-win season, so not really surprising, but, they have been on the road the last couple of weeks and won these games, and now they get to host a game in Philadelphia. So we'll see what happens in that. All right, let's go through these bowl games. There's several of them we're going to preview, and we're going to start with the bowl game tonight. We're going to run through Christmas Eve. This is just going to be very quick here. We begin at the Xbox Bowl. I believe this is in Frisco or near the Dallas area. But the Missouri State Bears, first time they made the transition from FCS to FBS, and they made a bowl game, although their head coach just took the Coastal Carolina job. They're taking on our old buddy, Butch Jones, and his Arkansas State Red Wolves. 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Arkansas State does have a pretty good quarterback in Jalen Raiola, I think is his name. Pretty solid dual threat guy, and we'll see what happens in this one between the Bears and the Red Wolves in the Xbox Bowl. We head to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. This is now Friday. A couple of games on Friday. 11 a.m. early start at the Myrtle Beach Bowl on the campus, I believe, at Coastal Carolina. The Conference USA champion Kennesaw State Owls taking on, I believe, the MAC champion Western Michigan Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. Tennessee will see Kennesaw State next season at Neyland Stadium, the last non-conference game to be exact. And of course, our buddy Jerry Mack, former running back coach at Tennessee during the Josh Heupel era, has done a great job at KSU. Meanwhile, for Western Michigan, MAC champions, looking to have a solid end to the season. We'll see what happens there. 2:30 on ESPN, the Gasparilla Bowl down at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The Memphis Tigers, who just picked up a new head coach in Charles Huff, former Southern Miss and Marshall coach, now taking over for Ryan Satterfield, who's now heading to Arkansas. They're taking on NC State, Dave Doring's group, a team that normally is always in the normally in the bowls. So, we'll see what happens in this one as the Tigers take on NC State. All right, Boca Raton both on Tuesday. 3 games on Tuesday. We'll run through these really quick. Down in Boca Raton, I think this is on the campus of FAU. Toledo taking on Louisville. Toledo picked up a new coach themselves. They ended up getting the Mercer coach. Louisville, had a great season, kind of ended disappointingly, although they got the win over Kentucky to end the season. Ended up in Boca Raton, taking on the Rockets. So we'll see what happens in that one. New Orleans Bowl, 5:30 ESPN from the Superdome. Western Kentucky taking on Southern Miss. We already mentioned Charles Huff, no longer the head coach at Southern Miss. We'll see how these teams will react in here. Western Kentucky, a team that normally makes a bowl game every year and does fairly well. All right, 9 o'clock on ESPN Tuesday night. Frisco Bowl, UNLV taking on Ohio. Ohio just fired their head coach recently, so interesting timing there. And, of course, Dan Mullins, UNLV running Rebels, getting to a bowl game. Actually had a solid season and getting 10 wins, so doing a great job, and we'll see what happens there. And then finally, Christmas Eve, the Hawaii Bowl at, I believe this is at Hawaii Stadium. I don't think they used to play at Aloha Stadium, but I don't think Aloha Stadium's there anymore. We'll see what happens in this one. Timmy Chang's group had a nice year for them. Cal, fired Justin Wilcox as their head coach, and now they're going to have Tosh Lope to take over for them. But always fun to see a bowl game out in Hawaii, as we'll see the Golden Bears and the Warriors. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Tailgate Thursday. We hope you enjoy the playoffs and the bowl games, and we'll be right back here. Actually, it won't be next week because that'll be Christmas Day, but we will definitely be back the week when Tennessee plays their bowl game. But until next time, this is David Morrison. As always,